Word, episode 19, we here. I'm going to talk a little bit about InHumans again, blah, like this, right? I know I talked about it before. You also going to talk about 45, fuck Woody Allen, talk about your boy Weinstein, whatever that motherfucker name is. We're going to talk about the real deal, though, on that. We're going to review Cypress Hill's debut album, self-titled Cypress Hill. We'll talk about how men ain't shit. And did I say we're going to review Thor Ragnarok? Word, check it out.
I like the rhymes.
All of us are born with the miraculous ability to determine the direction from which sounds approach us.
Let us venture into new and uncharted land.
People get shook up, when I'm introduced as God.
You got that good hair, too.
You're the first one out there with a dashiki talking that crap.
It's like a jungle sometimes, it makes me wonder how I keep from going under. It's like a jungle sometimes, it makes me wonder how I keep from going under.
I pull up, hop out, air out, made it look sexy. They won't take me out my element, nah, take me out my element.
For this episode, I'm sipping on Sangria, but I'm using the Sutter Home version. I don't know what caused me to buy it. I was like, let me check this out. So the Sutter Home Sangria is not as sweet as what I'm used to. And it's more grape than citrus, but it's all right. It's all right. It has a little kick in it too. So yo, that's what I got. Word. Yo, I'm mad late with this, and it's kind of funny because like I consistently quote these cats, but 26 years ago, last year in 2016, they celebrated the 25th anniversary release of Cypress Hill's self-titled album. It came out in August of 1991. I was dead in the Navy. I wasn't dead, but I was in the Navy when this album came out. It's funny because like, it's before the internet. Like so you couldn't like, when you learned about a group, you couldn't like jump online and, figure out all the stuff they had their own Wikipedia page or whatever. That was before then. So like, I thought it was from the East Coast because there's an avenue in the Bronx called Cypress Avenue. I know in Brooklyn they got an avenue called Cypress Hill. So I assume, and in the way they dressed, they look like they live right around the corner from me. So like, and then Sendog, like I know Sendog, his brother. He came out that song Mentirosa, Mellow Man Ace. He's from Miami. So I assumed they were East Coast cats. So I thought Cypress Hill was an East Coast group, and then you find out later in the interviews that they from the West Coast. You're like, oh shit. But anyway, they were really dope. And the production was a departure from everything else that was coming out of the West Coast, because DJ Muggs, the producer, he just had his own style. And which because he did work for House of Pain. He did work for different other groups, and you can kind of tell he had a signature sound, right? So anyway, the album was dope. Mad Violent, of course, like a lot of stuff that came out in the 90s. Cypress Hill's album, I think, is the debut album is very underrated because the production and the lyrics were just dope, right? You had Be Real with his nasal delivery. You had Sendog, Afro-Latino. Shout out to all the Afro-Latinos out there. Sendog with his like really gravel voice, right? So it was a good like contrast. It was really dope. And they just had some really catchy songs, like How I Could Just Kill a Man. Like, that's dope. Like, just listening to the lyrics. And it wasn't just really like, I just bust cats in the head. It was just really talking about how it actually feels, afterward, like the emotion. So then, of course, Handling the Shotgun, which was my joint, the one that, and it's funny because I remember when Meth and Redman came out with that Rockefeller joint, and it was like la 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 la. Remember that joint? Like that joint rocks. But anyway, they got it from that song, and they had a lot of gems on there. Latin Lingo was dope. They even I think they had a video for that, and they had a song called Pigs, which is about cops. But I think the thing about Cypress Hill was, and look, let me just say this: in all music, and I'm not trying to say that everybody was drugged out. I'm just saying that in all music, rock and roll, jazz, yes, country music too. Y'all get down like that too. There's heavy drug use, right? It's heavy. It's just the atmosphere. You go to concerts, studio sessions, et cetera, right? But hip hop music, in my opinion, right, was one of the first genres to really put that into music. Yeah, rock and roll did it, right? But rock and roll and funk too did it, but theirs was more metaphorical. You know, they might have done 1 or 2 songs on albums that were like, you know, and it was a different time. You couldn't just do a song about drugs. You know, like, okay, Mary Jane, like, all right. But that was the funk era, so things were kind of a little bit different. But the funk era, they weren't putting out songs about drugs every other minute. But the thing with hip hop music is that, you know, and I'm not saying that Cypress Hill was the first one to talk about, you know, marijuana use, but they opened that up. Like soon as they came out with that album and they were like, yo, we pro marijuana, legal use of marijuana, you know, for recreational use, like everybody just all of a sudden was coming out with songs like that. You know what I'm saying? Everybody was wearing shirts that had weed on it. You know, before that, it was like the fringes, right? Before that, you only really had my man, what's that kid's name that does country music? Willie something. He was like the cat that was coming out, and you had Cheech and Chong, right? But they're considered fringe. They're not really considered like mainstream, you know what I mean? So Cypress Hill opened that up, you know what I mean? So I think we got to give them props for that. But other than that, the album is really dope. It really stands the test of time. When you listen to it, it's not dated, you know what I mean? It came out in 91, so it's really like, I let cats hear it now. They be like, yo, that's dope. And I don't think Cypress Hill gets the props that they deserve. So that's why I'm talking about them here. Hope you enjoy it. Peace. So here's the thing. Here's the deal. Hashtag men ain't shit. Like, we hear that all the time on Twitter, Facebook. You know, people do YouTube videos or whatever. You know, and you know what? Like, sometimes they're not talking about you. But let's come on, man, fellas. This is for the fellas, man. Man ain't shit, yo. Fuck it. Like, let's own that. And what I mean by own that, I mean like just, you know, the only way, the first step we gotta do to fix a problem is first admit it. You know what I'm saying? Because we not shit. Like, let's be real. And if we don't come clean, we, you know, and yo, come on, man. We know some of our uncles ain't shit. A lot of us know our daddies ain't shit. We hang out with cats who ain't shit. You know, and it's one of those things where it can't be everybody but us. You know what I'm saying? So, like, I think we should really sit down and ask ourselves, what are we going to do about it? Right? Instead of saying, well, I ain't like that, or I don't get down like that, we need to really, really fix that. And look, our most notable heroes, people that we look up to and admire and love, ain't shit. You know, as much as I love Huey Newton, as much as I love him, he abuses women. He did. You know what I mean? Like, come on, man. Like, all our faves are problematic, right? So we need to figure out, what are we going to do? That's the question. When somebody says men ain't shit, the question we should ask ourselves is, what am I doing to fix that, right? And we got to hold ourselves accountable, not just ourselves, but one another, instead of acting like, you know, women just want to be lesbians, right? So come on, man. Let's really fix that, man, because, yo, man, we fucking up out here, man. Word.
Yeah. Yo, I think Prince should run first for this one. I think so. Yeah. Yo, I think Prince should run first for this one. I think so.
So, man, like, whoo. First of all, like, I didn't, like, when the Harvey Weinstein stuff came out, I wasn't peeping who this cat was, right? And I was, you know, I mean, they said who he was. You know how somebody tells you something and you be like, oh, okay, all right, true indeed. But you don't really know. You don't be knowing. You don't be paying attention. But then, like, I was watching some movies, and at the end, this big W came up, and it was like the Weinstein Company. And I was like, oh, shit, that's him. And I realized that he did a lot of stuff, man. He did a lot of movies, sitcoms. He casted people. He put a lot of people on, man. So, like, once I realized that, I was like, you know, and then I know, like, a lot of people talk about, that's Hollywood. That's how they get down in Hollywood. And I feel you. Like, that's like a given in Hollywood, right? And I'm not saying it's right, but what I'm saying is we got to be real careful with this, because Hollywood, you know, and a lot of times they produce a lot of shit, right? Like a lot of crappy stuff. But Hollywood also produces art, right? Remember that. Even if it's crappy, it's still art, right? It may not be good art, but it's still art. And art imitates life. Art is a reflection of what is going on in society. You know what I'm saying? So, like right now, geek culture is the thing, right? It's in. So you're going to see a lot of movie adaptations of comic books and video games and all that. And that's what's making bread right now, right? That's just what the culture is, right? That's the quote unquote, the zeitgeist, you know what I mean? So remember that. You got to keep that in mind. Hollywood is a reflection of the greater society, right? I mean, art is, let me rephrase that. Art is a reflection of the greater society, right? And it's real easy for us to be like, that's how they get down in Hollywood. That's how they get down over there. That's how those cats get down over there. But the thing about misogyny and misogynoir, the thing about sexual harassment is that it happens in every facet of our society. It happens at work. It happens at school. It happens on the playground. It happens on the street. It happens at the bus stop. It happens everywhere. And that's something that we really have to acknowledge because, again, it's real easy to be like, oh, Harvey Weinstein, all the way over there. That's what he does. That's how he gets down. That's how those men get down. But really, it's prevalent in everywhere that we are at. You know what I'm saying? In the churches. So I think that this is an opportunity for us to really, particularly men, to really ask ourselves, number one, do we help foster a culture that allows sexual harassment, sexual assault, misogyny, misogynoir in the workplace, right? Are we helping to create that hostile culture? Number two, what do we do when we recognize it, right? What are we doing? Because sometimes it happens and we see it and we turn a blind eye. A lot of times it does, right? And number three, what are we doing when somebody we know and care about and love comes to us about it? Because a lot of times we deny that. When somebody says, oh, so-and-so groped me. Because check this out. Here's the ill part. Usually, if you ain't do it, your man did it. You know what I'm saying? And I'm not going to front. I'm guilty of people coming to me and saying, yo, your man is bugging. He did this to me. Or he came at me like this. And I was like, don't worry about it. And I was like, all right, I'm going to take care of it. I didn't take care of it. I did that many times, and I'm guilty of it. You know what I mean? And I got to fix that. I got to make amends for that. So we really, really have to ask ourselves that question when we talk about Harvey Weinstein and everything. Because, again, it's real easy to deflect and point out and say them people over there be tripping. But it's in our faces, man, much more than we claim and much more than we actually want to see. Word.
Lord, mercy. All nice and decent crew. Follow me now, mercy. All nice and decent crew. Follow me now, mercy. All nice and decent crew. Follow me now, mercy. All nice and decent crew. Follow me now.
So then you have your man Woody Allen, you know what I mean? And when he said what he said, I was like thinking of Cypress Hill. Shout out to Cypress Hill. When it was like, I'm going up the river with a boat and no paddles, and I'm handing out beat girls. Remember when he said that? Shout out to Sen Dog, but with the ad-libs. But yo, he comes on and he's like, and I could just, cause I can't stand that dude. Like, he's one of those cats that like, he got mad props for his movies, and I try to watch his movies, and I'll be like, this is like since I was a kid. I was like, yo, what do people see in these movies? And people just be like, oh, he's great. Anyway, he comes out with, with the Harvey Weinstein stuff, and he's like, oh, now men can't even look at women at work. You know what I mean? Like, he didn't say that, but he didn't say the "not mean" part, but he was pretty much saying that, like, now you just can't be a rapey motherfucker. Like, that's what he said. And I'm thinking to myself, like, heading up the river with a boat and no paddles, and I'm handing out beat downs. And I'm just like, dude, really? Like, this is a time when you just should be quiet. Like, you rapey ass motherfucker. Like, you should be quiet. Like, why are you even talking? You know what I mean? I tell you though, like, one thing I noticed with 45, like, I noticed that we give like cats passes for just like hating on them. Like, you know, we saw that with Eminem. Like, we see people that come out that really don't really give a fuck about everybody else. Like, they really don't. They don't come out for other causes, but they'll come out and say, oh, Trump is the problem. And here's the scary part. Trump is not like, man, how should I put this? He's not the actual problem. He's the face of the problem, right? He's someone you could point at and be like, he represents what all that is. Because look, white America voted for him, right? So it just shows and proves how white America be thinking most of the time, right? And yes, I mean all of y'all, right? So it's kind of scary because, like, let's give this scenario. And I don't think Trump is going to get impeached. Let me just put that out on Front Street. And I think he's going to do another 4 years. Let me just put that out on Front Street as well. Bar, anything wild happening, right? But let's say he was to get impeached, right? Today, right? Gets impeached today. Mike Pence is worse because he's one of those cats that he does a lot of shit on the slide, very subliminal about his stuff. And he functions how the GOP functions. They say one thing, they roll the other way. Like most politicians, right? So, the GOP is full of people who are passing bills in the middle of the night because they know that we're going to be looking at Trump like he a clown. And that's probably the reason why the GOP really backed him when they shouldn't have, right? And not saying that Democrats had a better idea, but Democrats, the reason why 45 is going to win again is because the Democrats don't have a plan. They don't have a plan. They don't have a plan for 2020. They actually don't. They don't have one. You know what I mean? And really, they bowing. So, that being said, we got to be really careful because we want to ally ourselves with people who are saying Trump is whack when they're not really our allies. You know what I'm saying? They're not really our friends. So let's be careful on that. Leflour, ASCO. Yo, shout out to the late great Sean Price. And man, that was a dope single. And I want to say they released that. in 1995. It was a dope ass song. I don't know what it means, but it was still like, yes, y'all. Helter Skelter, something be the best, y'all. It was a dope single, man. I just want to shout that out. A shout out to the late great Sean Price. Leflour, ASCO. Okay, so I'm going to geek out again, and I want to talk about the InHumans. First of all, I am not watching the InHumans. I seen the previews. I wasn't going to pay mad money to see this shit at IMAX. I'm sorry. And the production looks really crappy. I love Black Bolt. I really, really love Black Bolt. He's one of my favorite Marvel characters. He's in the Illuminati. I love him. But the way they do him in the previews, I'm not fucking with it. It looks real low budget. And then I heard that the guy, the showrunner for Iron Fist is the showrunner for the InHumans, but I'm not watching it. But I just want to talk about Marvel. And look, make my Marvel all day. I've been a Marvel fan since I was 6. Been reading comics since I was 4 or 5. Marvel fan since I was 6. It's always Marvel. I think 60% of the comics I buy are Marvel, right? Shout out to Image though. Image be holding it down. Anywho, it's sad. It's sad. And here's one thing that happened. And we all know this. Marvel has never come out to admit it. Since they cannot get the X-Men movie rights and the X-Men TV rights. Marvel sold that during the 90s when they were going through bankruptcy. They sold the X-Men movie rights and the X-Men TV rights. They can't do any X-Men stuff. They can't even mention the X-Men. They can't even mention mutants in the movies. So it kind of really puts it like a big gaping hole in the Marvel Cinematic Universe because, mutants play a big part. The X-Men, Professor Xavier, Magneto they all play a big part in the Marvel Universe. So not having them in the Marvel Cinematic Universe kind of sucks. And that's probably one of the reasons why I hated the movie Logan, because I love the story of Old Man Logan, but it really is centered in the Marvel Universe outside of the mutants. So to have it, it's just no one's going to ever be able to do it justice. So anyway, what Marvel realized was that they're putting out all these X-Men titles and not making any money, movie-wise when it comes to the X-Men. So they really try to shove the Inhumans down our throats. So they did this thing with the Terrigen Mist after the Infinity crossover, and they've really been trying to introduce these new Inhuman characters and everything. And Miss Marvel is dope though. I love Miss Marvel. She's dope. She's one of my favorite characters right now in Marvel Comics, and that's Kamala Khan. But they just trying to shove this stuff down our throats, and I don't like it. It's whack. But there are people out there, and this is the problem. There are fans out there that will eat up anything Marvel puts out. They'll eat it up. So that's why they get high ratings. Like Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. to me sucks. I might go back and watch the series with Ghost Rider in it, the story arc of Ghost Rider in it, Robbie Reyes, but I can't do it, bro. Like, I'm sorry, man. Like, and I love Black Bolt. If you're not reading Saladin Ahmed's Black Bolt, man, we can't be friends. But that series is dope. I got to talk about how being a Marvel fan, it's like, man. Anyway, I'm not watching Inhumans.
This is a man's world, but it would mean nothing without. This is a man's world.
Part 3, QBC, Zip Line McCarthy. Heavy on the list, you blink my ice ring. John Lee Green, get that small thing. Part 3, QBC, Zip Line McCarthy.
If we're going to talk about how to approach women, we definitely have to discuss space, right? And boundaries. And I think that a lot of times I've seen stuff happen in front of me where it's clearly a violation of space, right? And then people will argue, well, it's a lot of noise, et cetera, et cetera. And I've been in situations where the club has been mad loud and I got to whisper in the ear. But then I'm worried that I might spit in the air or something like that. So this is what we should talk about. Let's talk about space. And I know it's funny, man, because children have no concept of boundary in space. You got to kind of show them. Because, when they're babies, they're always around us. We're carrying them. So they think it's cool when you get older, but actually it's not cool. And I think that's something that we should teach young people very early. But that's neither here nor there. I think, when people go out publicly, most people, men and women, don't want nobody in their face. I think that's generally across the board in any situation. Just don't want people in your face. Sometimes you can't help it. Public transportation, you're at a bar, it can't be helped. But if it can be helped, people will prefer that you get out of their space. So again, this goes back to, I forgot which episode we talked about and how to approach women. We talked about how you should pay attention. And this is where hygiene is important. If you're going to talk to someone in a loud space, then you might want to make sure that you're close enough so they can hear you and you can hear them, but you're not too close where it's uncomfortable. And I think that's important. One thing I will say is you shouldn't touch nobody. That's the worst turn off, period. Just don't touch nobody, man. Don't touch nobody. Unless y'all going to go dance or whatever, and you ask them to dance or whatever, that's different. You might grab a hand, but don't touch. You know what I mean? If you're sweaty, if you're sweaty, because you dance, you might be out there dancing, you might be sweating, might be hot. Chances are they're going to smell it before you smell it. So just be mindful of your space. So again, it goes back to paying attention. Don't touch anybody. Don't put your hands on nobody. And then, check your proximity. See how close you are. Sometimes it can't be helped. I'm not going to lie. But I hope this helps you out on this. Remember, space is important. For this week's health segment, I want to do a pulse check. I know that, like, some of us can't afford to go see a doctor regularly, but it's always good to check up on yourself. Like, I know this is going to sound crazy. Check your urine. Make sure you're getting hydrated. If your urine is like bright yellow, you might want to drink some more water. Be sure you're getting some rest, enough rest, 7 to 8 hours a day. If you need to take a nap, take a nap. A lot of times we get headaches, and a lot of it is because we're just not getting enough rest. So make sure you're getting enough rest, on the weekend. I know some of us work hard Monday through Friday. On the weekend, just relax a little bit, catch up, get a breather, go for a walk. Go where you can, weather permitting. I know in some parts of the country the weather's really bad. So do that, but check yourself. Make sure that you can. I know like a lot of supermarkets, they have machines that check your blood pressure, see if it's too high. They also have some that will like you can check your sugar levels, see if you have diabetes or potential for diabetes. And I know like a lot of places, like a lot of community centers, they have events that are free where they can do all those things for free. You can do that as well. So just look out for those kind of things. Like I said, usually local community centers. A lot of times city governments will do it for free. So do that, get yourself checked. I think that's important. I think it's good that we do that every now and then. Just make sure that we're doing all right. Make sure that you're breathing. Really take time to check out for yourself, because that's very crucial, especially in this day and age. I'm getting to an age where a lot of my friends are having health issues because stuff that they just didn't check before. And I think that's important. If you can get out to a doctor and get a yearly checkup, look around. You might be able to find something that's free. Do that. Remember, your health is important. Peace. The people have spoken, and they wanted me to talk about Thor Ragnarok, which I just saw. Let me just say off the top, I just loved it. Immediately loved it. Like, hands down, the best Thor movie. Probably the top 5 of the movies in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. So let me go ahead and talk about the good, and then the last segment will be on the bad and the ugly. The good, Tessa Thompson kills it, nails it. I mean, they casted her, and man, she did her thing, man. She really played her part. I really hope to see her character again in Infinity War, and I see more of her. And if they're going to do more Thor movies, I would love to see her in that. Maybe in Guardians of the Galaxy. I really enjoyed her character. It was dope. Mark Ruffalo and Chris Hemsworth, their chemistry, amazing. Just amazing. I love the fact that it came off like a buddy cop movie. I thought that was really cool. I really dug that. Taika Waititi as a director, bro, you did your thing. And I didn't realize he was Gorg until the end of the movie when I saw the credits. And I was like, oh, that was him, because I thought it was my man that played Jango Fett in Star Wars. Anyway, I love Surtur, man. One of my favorite Thor stories is when Walt Simonson did the Ragnarok series, where Surtur showed up, and I just thought that was really awesome. I loved him. It was funny. And it was dope, too, because Surtur's just dope. The pacing was great, and I know they had a lot to cover in that movie because they threw in the Planet Hulk subplot, which I hope the Marvel Cinematic Universe does something with it, because for 2 years, the Hulk was on his planet doing his thing. So I thought that was dope. Just the pacing was just amazing. The comedy was just really, that's what it needed. That's really what Thor needed. The Thor series, most people consider it like the Marvel Cinematic Universe with not so great writing compared to the other stuff. And I guess it needed that injection of comedy. I love the fact that Thor had to rely on his wits versus, that's why they took the hammer away. They wanted him to rely on his wits, because usually when he fights Loki in the comic book, it's really, he beats Loki using his wits because, Loki can figure out, he got brawn. So Thor has brawn, so it's not hard to trap him. So, Thor has to figure his way out of stuff. So I thought that was dope. So you know what? I'm not going to make another segment. I apologize because I just have nothing bad to really say about it. The only bad thing I have to say about it is Odin went from supreme asshole to like old man about to die. Like, how the fuck does that happen? Like, he was a supreme asshole in the first 2 movies. And I mean, which is in line with the comic books. Because in the comic books, he's a supreme asshole. He's just a fucking dick. So, all of a sudden he's not. I don't know. You know what I'm saying? Like, I have an issue with that. And then I don't have anything with the ugly part because I do my reviews, the good, the bad, and the ugly. I really don't have nothing ugly to say. Really, like, man, it was just dope. Like, I think anybody's going to go watch this and they're going to come away with something that they enjoyed a lot. And I don't think no one's going to say that it was bad. I thought it was pretty good. Well, there you have it, ladies and gentlemen, my review without any spoilers. Word. So this is gonna shout outs. Here we go. First of all, shout out to my man JD. It was his born day. He had the big 3-0, the big 3-0. And then he had this party like at the theater. We went to see Thor Ragnarok. That was dope. That was really dope. Never would have thought of that one. Shout out to my man Phil. He opened up his gallery in Dayton, El Rincon Gallery. It's pretty dope. I love the Chicano flavor in there. He's on Instagram. El Rincon is ELRINCON gallery. Really dope stuff. A lot of dope stuff for sale too. He does tats too. And then finally, shout out to my old Gem City crew. Y'all know who you are. Part of the Circle Nerds and all you. Love y'all brothers, man. Miss y'all brothers, but it was dope seeing y'all. Peace. So there you have it, episode number 19, man. We're getting there, right? Getting up there, putting in that work. If you want to continue the discussion online, hashtag where my Killa tape at, and that's Killa Killa tape at, right? Where my Killa tape at. Do that, and you can hit me up at Omi's Podcast on Twitter. But usually you can catch me on Twitter at Dantresomi, DANTRESOMI. And I appreciate y'all listening, and put some reviews on iTunes, man. Give me like 5 stars. Word is born. I'll see y'all next week. Peace.